The Milwaukee Bucks just ended a 5-game losing streak and are suffering through their worst season in 4 years. It's time to take a deep look into what has gone wrong for a team that was primed to compete for a title this year. But this gets a little easier when you dig into their offensive production. If Milwaukee were to finish the season with their current offensive rating, they would eclipse the Mavericks' all-time high last year, a sliver below the Nets. Of course, there are 5 teams at the Mavericks level or higher this year, and having no fans in the stands has led to a lack of home court advantage and lessened the pressure on the players to perform, unlocking all manner of hot three-point shooting. Which brings us to the Bucks' chief issue, their defense. Currently ranked 13th, it would be the lowest they've been for 3 seasons, where they had been number 1 the past 2 years. But we have to dig deeper to figure out exactly what part of their defense has failed them. Their singular focus on stopping players at the rim has led them to be among the league leaders in opponent field goal percentage in the paint, as well as eliminating these shots altogether. And this year is no different, as they rank 2nd in the league in fewest shots given up within 10 feet, and 3rd in defensive field goal percentage. Teams are encountering a wall at the rim, and they struggle to just get shots up, let alone put them in the basket. So that leaves us with one big issue: three-point shooting. For the past 2 years, the Bucks have been at the top of the league in giving up the most wide-open three-point shots. Yet, for some reason, their opponents haven't been better than average at actually hitting them. Until this year. The shot profile is the same as it's been under coach Mike Budenholzer, but suddenly, this year, those wide-open shots are scorching the nets. Only 4 teams are getting scored on at a higher percentage, and it's led to a toxic mixture that has sunk their overall defensive rating as well as their record. As a coach, my philosophy would be to limit the amount of open threes we give up to our opponents, but Budenholzer's goal seems to be to give up tons of threes in the name of stopping players at the rim. And the proof is in the footage, as time and again you can see that the Bucks' defensive rotations are intentional, gambling that players will miss the kind of open shots most coaches wouldn't want to give up in the first place. I believe it's useful to look at both misses and makes to fully understand the defensive rotations the Bucks are executing intentionally that lead to so many wide open threes. The key to limiting shots at the rim is to send multiple defenders to the ball. However, crashing all 5 players to the paint is unnecessary and suboptimal. Look at the three-point percentages of the shooters around the arc and look how much room they have. As Boucher begins his arm swing up, Portis is still in the lane. That's a wide open shot, but the Bucks dodge a bullet. While I always like to see pressure in the backcourt, Connaughton gets caught 3 steps behind the quick pin down. But it's Torrey Craig who needlessly wanders to the ball to again thwart a potential shot within 10 feet. Portis is in good position to handle this, and Connaughton was jumping out to the corner shooter. This becomes an 18-foot closeout, a wide open shot, but again, they dodge the bullet. Another interesting thing that caught my eye is the early help positioning from the weak side corner. Watch Forbes dance into the lane to exploit the 2.9 seconds he's legally allowed to be in there, but Connaughton is in good position. The ball is outside the lane, and the offensive player never gains much of an advantage even as he gets into the lane. The gamble of the steal now creates a 3-on-2 situation on the weak side. Giannis is drawn to the ball unnecessarily, and Chris Middleton takes a roundabout path to close out to the shooter, who has all the time in the world to just brick this easy shot. You can see this same type of early help from the weak side guard on this possession. Middleton is defending Van Vliet perfectly, doesn't need any help, and yet Connaughton is under the hoop. Now, he's got himself caught by the Anunoby screen, plus the penetration lures him and Giannis like moths to a flame, and he can't get close enough in time to stop the shot. The Bucks are renowned for their advanced analytics, which is how I'm sure they decided to play on this side of the court. I'm still decidedly old school about team defense, and I worry that the Bucks have wasted a lot of valuable time poring over spreadsheets that don't give them the info they desperately need. You might feel the same way running your business, as you've outgrown QuickBooks and need more analysis than your outdated spreadsheets can provide. NetSuite can solve all your problems by eliminating wasteful spending on multiple systems and platforms, as it will give you all the visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place, instantaneously. It would be like an NBA team having me do a breakdown of each and every one of their games, finished immediately when the final buzzer sounded. Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite by Oracle and let the world's #1 cloud business system work for you. NetSuite can show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/CoachNick. So click on my special link in the description and schedule that tour so you can find more success in your business, just like the Bucks would if they'd stop helping one pass away, something they're not getting away with like in years past. Giannis is guarding the left wing and the ball gets driven right at him along the lane line. This does help to stop the drive. But if Augustine was going to switch onto the ball screener anyway, then Portis should have switched onto the ball handler and Giannis wouldn't have gotten stuck in this position, giving up a lick your thumb and check the wind before shooting this wide open three-pointer. You might hear coaches in the NBA talk about the X out on defense, and we get an example of that here. But first, Portis helps one pass away when the normal rotation would have been the lowest guy steps up and the farthest guy bumps down. Bryn Forbes covers for him on the closeout from the corner, and although Portis takes one step in the wrong direction, he X's out to the corner to contest, but this is still an open jumper that clanks. This possession was going well, the defense containing everything to the perimeter with no threats, until they rub Booker off this elbow screen into a curl. I don't mind Giannis crashing down on Ayton for support, but you'll see the X out again with Forbes getting to the wing, but Giannis doesn't move, and they give up a wide open corner three to an elite shooter. Post-ups are particularly concerning to this defense, as you can see two defenders stunt down into the paint at the same time to support their best defender who doesn't really need it. This directly leads to a blow-by where three players converge on the ball, opening up a quick swing to the left wing, where Giannis again doesn't close out to a good shooter who catapults it in from downtown. Cutters to the hoop can also be an issue for this defense in their zeal to stop players from possessing the ball at all near the basket. Watch Connaughton get stuck underneath the roll man where a traditional defense would just have Portis stay connected to him. As a result, no one is near Jordan Clarkson, who's shooting a career high from behind the arc. Giannis gets beat backdoor by Crowder on this cut, and Bryn Forbes really expends a lot of energy on this end, taking away the cut, but Giannis also follows the cutter, leaving Cam Johnson and his hair wide open to knock down a game-tying three. I noticed a few times in their 5-game losing streak where handoffs confound the Bucks defense as well. Augustine can't get back around and in front of his man at the top of the key, so Giannis decides to help one pass away despite Portis being in better position to rotate over from the weak side. This is too easy of a pass, and there's no way a defender could ever get there in time as Toronto increases its lead. Here's a handoff from the elbow out of Horns that again sucks down almost the entire defense into the paint. They're relying on the slow feet of Brook Lopez to cover this, and there's simply no way that will work. Speaking of Lopez, the analytics point to him being a major culprit in their defensive struggles. Any type of action towards the baseline triggers help. Again, they must stop the ball from getting near the rim at all costs, but it opens up kickouts to the ball screeners and handoffers, and a guy like Horford will take advantage often. There is a jump in opponent three-point percentage when Lopez is on the floor versus off, but it's even more profound if you look at both Forbes and Lopez on the floor together. Teams are almost 9 percentage points better from three with both of these guys out there, and here's a possession where they're both involved. Notice how Lopez drops on this curl, relying on Forbes to get around the screen. When the drive is stopped, Forbes decides to take the kick out, knowing how slow Lopez is on these. But the Raptors just get that same baseline drive to lure Lopez down, and you don't need a stopwatch to time this closeout, as Lowry gets right by him. DiVincenzo happened to be there, but he's ineffective, and the lowest guy, Giannis, is then supposed to rotate to help, with Middleton splitting the difference between the two weak side spot-up shooters, closing out to wherever the pass goes. He doesn't get there nearly in time, and it's a wide-open corner three. The drop coverage by Lopez is so prevalent that he sometimes forgets and does it when his own man has the ball. Also, this doubled over stance makes him much slower than he'd normally be, and I hope Horford thanked Lopez for the kind defense on the way back down the court. I did a double take on this drive by Devin Booker as Connaughton was in good position the whole way and no one on defense came to double or triple team the ball. This is great stuff. Everything was going swimmingly as the shot clock became an extra defender. This time, because it's Booker, Lopez does not drop his coverage, but here's why he normally does. The slightest hesitation gets Booker right by him with one dribble. Now both corners rotate to the ball. Look at the choices Booker has for wide open shots. This time, the X out is from DiVincenzo near the elbow and Forbes from the low block. But Forbes takes a poor route and Chris Paul nails a key three-pointer in the fourth. One positive thing about the Bucks' three-point defense is that they don't give up a lot of corner threes compared to the rest of the league. However, the percentage is too damn high on these shots, and here's a few examples to explain why. It should come as no surprise that Bucks defenders help one pass away off the corner shooter most of the time. This is the kind of easy play that generates the best looks, wide open corner threes off the easiest pass in the offense. It does make me curious why the frequency of open threes isn't higher for them based on the way they choose to defend these. But it's clear to me why their opponents shoot such a high percentage, and I would imagine the frequency would continue to go up as the season wears on. Does Jrue Holiday solve all these problems? He's missed the last 7 games due to COVID, and there's no telling how he'll perform once he recovers. The stats show when he's on the court, the Bucks are better defensively, but with respect to their three-point defense, the opponent three-point shooting stats don't move much whether he's been on the court or off. I believe this is more of a scheme issue, and while Giannis indicated they're trying to adjust to new defensive techniques,
we've been playing center for 2 years now. 2 years and 20 games in, and just going from that to switching, I know it's something that's going to make us better. I know it's something that is going to help us down the road, as I said earlier. But it's hard at first. Like we didn't practice yesterday, and today we started, switching. I like though that we're making adjustments. I like that we're open-minded now. I like that we are trying to figure out ways to mess with our opponents. And I believe my coach believes, and my team believes that this is going to help us down the road. So we all got to believe in what we're doing, and we got to put some effort behind it.
There's been a distinct lack of practice time for all teams. So how much are they going to be able to get done in the middle of a season? After watching 100 wide open makes against the Bucks, the pattern is clear that it's Brook Lopez's slow feet and lack of effort at times that leads to a lot of these shots. If he's not knocking down 2 or 3 of his own long-range bombs to balance it out, then he'll continue to be a drag on the team and a minutes reduction will be necessary. What I do know is that if they don't do something pretty drastic to stop all these open shots, their record will continue to suffer, and so will their playoff fate.